What's up agents, Epic Slayers here, welcome back to a brand new Division video. Today I've got for you the best non-classified build that I've been able to conjure up for the limited amount of time that I've been able to play Global Event Free. Hopefully you do enjoy this one. If you do, drop a like, it really does help me out, and let's get into the build. Alright agents, so this is the best build that I've been able to conjure up for this week's Global Event Free strike. At least the best build that's non-classified in any way, of course. So I'll briefly go over the actual build followed up by the weapons of choice here. So the first piece, we've got Barrett's Bulletproof Vest. You don't have to use this, I know a lot of people don't have it, but if you can, it is the best piece to go with this build, and I'll explain why. So as you can see here, one skill on cooldown increases damage by 5%, which is really what you want this for, because ultimately with this build, as you can see, I'm running 3-piece D3 FNC with Ninja Bike, so I'm running 4-piece D3 FNC, which means I am running a shield build. A shield build in this global event is very important. It will reduce the amount of incoming damage, and it will also reduce the bar that you get, which basically makes your way towards that explosion damage you get from alloys or from enemies that you'd receive damage from. So it reduces that heavily, so that's really why you want to use it. You want to try and take the least amount of damage as possible with this particular global event, because of course that explosion damage and the shield will help you do that massively. So that's the reason why I've gone for Barrett's Bulletproof Vest. I've decided to roll enemy armor damage, skill haste and ammo capacity. If I could change this, I would probably change skill haste to health. It's not really needed health, but it's nice to have, because when you don't have the shield or if you get shot from behind, it's nice to have that healed. That health, because you will find that you are pretty squishy with this build if you are being shot from behind, but as long as you can use the shield well, then that shouldn't really be an issue. The mods on this one, we've gone for stamina and damage to elites on this build. Now moving on to the mask of the Nomad, and I'll explain why I've gone for this. As you can see, it is my best piece in respect to the major and minor attributes. It's got enemy armor damage, damage to elites, it's roll to firearms, and of course the mod is stamina damage to elites as well. And the reason I've gone for Nomad here is that health on kill, that 15% health on kill. It makes a big difference when you don't use your shield. If you want to get a bit of health, for any reason you're taking a lot of damage, then having Nomad for the second piece is really, really good. It really does keep your survivability up a lot, and that's the real reason that I've gone for it. I can't think of any other two-piece that I'd really want in place of this. So yeah, that's the reason why I've gone for it. So let's go over the other pieces of gear here. My knee pads, D3 FNC knee pads, I've rolled to enemy armor damage. Again, want to be getting as much enemy armor damage as I can. I want to be doing as much damage as I possibly can. And of course, in the minor attributes, you want to make sure you're getting damage to elites, as you can see on this particular piece. I'm rolling stamina as one of the mods on here, of course, and I'm also running ballistic shield damage resilience. What I wanted to do here is actually make sure that my shield can withstand a lot of damage, as opposed to me putting out a lot of damage. So that's the reason why I've gone for damage resilience on all of my shield mods here, as you can see. Ballistic shield damage resilience, and the highest you can get is 5%. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get that on every piece, but I have where I can. Again, with my Ninja Bike backpack, I am rolling damage to elites as the mod. And of course, the gear itself, I've gone for health and ammo capacity. Having health here, I felt, is actually a really good option. Couldn't really think of anything else to use here, and having a little bit of health does make a difference. Moving on to the gloves, firearms, crit damage, SMG damage, and crit hit chance. The only thing I would change here, if I could, is the crit hit chance to enemy armor damage, or possibly skill haste, but apart from that, that's a pretty good roll, so I would definitely keep that. And then lastly, the D3 FNC holster. It's up to you, really, with this piece of gear. I've rolled for skill haste, but to be honest, you might want to roll for somewhat like reload speed. I found that particularly with this build, or at least in Global Event 3, I've been staying at a lot of distance from my enemies using my sniper, so I've not really felt the need to have reload speed. But if you wanted to have it, if you're a rusher with this build, then definitely use it, because it does make a massive difference. As I said, when you pop your shield, you actually reduce the amount, the speed in which you reload. So having reload speed does make a difference, but skill haste makes a difference as well. And then lastly, as you can see, ballistic shield damage resilience, of course. Now moving on to the weapon of choice. Now of course, because I'm running D3 FNC, I have actually run an SMG, and the house is the best SMG for damage in the game. So that's the reason why I've gone with it. Now unfortunately, I don't have the right talents for this build, so what I'd recommend here is ferocious. You want to be running destructive and then card counter. You could run some instead like responsive, destructive and card counter, because responsive and ferocious have similar values, so that doesn't really make much difference. Destructive is very good, that 15% damage to enemy armor, and that's really what's the problem here, guys, is you want to be getting as much enemy armor damage as possible and damage to elites. Enemy armor damage, because the armor is really what soaks up the amount of damage, and then after that point, enemies are pretty easy to heal. And then damage to elites, because when you are running through the global event, you're probably going to be doing it on challenging, and everyone's going to be elite, so doing that extra damage makes a big difference. Of course, with my house, I'm just modding it for crit hit damage, crit hit chance where I can. Extended mag, I've gone for rate of fire and crit hit chance, and you can just, this is really your own choice. And then for my small grip, I've gone for that reload speed as well. And secondary weapon, I've gone for a sniper, because I find that a lot of time I'm sat in cover with my M700 just popping heads, and this is my favourite sniper in the game. So again, that's really entirely up to you. If I go to my character here, you'll probably see, if I just go onto my my SMG here, you'll see the sort of numbers I put out a little bit. So we can see 34.5% crit hit chance, crit damage 97%, definitely could be a little bit higher. But as I can't run deadly, then it won't be. If I go down to my combat here, damage to elites 40%, enemy armor damage is only 16%, which is fairly low. But of course, if you're running something like destructive and ferocious on here, you'd be doing a lot more. You'd be upwards of 30%. If I could change out this, then I'd be upwards of nearly 40%. And yeah, I mean, this is really the build you want to be going for, simply due to the fact that it negates a lot of the explosion damage you may receive off this week's strike. And if you're going for the mass where you don't want to get any explosion damage, really, then just stay back at the end of the day. So there you go, guys. Hope you did enjoy this one. If you did, drop a like. All your support recently has been just absolutely crazy. I can't quite believe it. I've had about 52,000 views in the last 48 hours, which for my channel is unheard of. Absolutely amazing, thanks to you guys. If you're new to my channel and like this content or like Division content and you like daily uploads, then definitely subscribe. It really does help me out. And with all that said, epic out.